down 1,000 times. I ain't going nowhere. Yeah, I'm standing right here. Demons all around, but I ain't got no fear.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. We got an exciting one here for you. We are talking about players that are washed up, or are we ever going to draft them again? Question marks here. Is it the end of the line for big players like Zeke Elliott and DeAndre Hopkins and a couple more we've got lined up for you, breaking it down? Should you draft them, or will they bust? Are they done? Are they in the twilight, sunset years of their life? What are you going to do? And on the show, we've got the great and wonderful fantasy first lady, Gwen. What's going on, Gwen?
Oh, I'm just excited for this show. And have you watched that new quarterbacks show on Netflix at all? I've been watching that. I was watching it right before this.
Couple episodes in, not really like edge of the seat gripped in yet. I'm debating whether I want to go to a third episode. It's good. It's just not outstanding. Does it get better? What episode are you on?
I think I'm probably four into it. I think it's good, but yeah, it is a little slow, especially when they start off with Patrick Mahomes and his annoying wife who
She drives me
makes
nuts.
him take photo ops all over the place. But yeah, no, I like it. I think it's a good insight into I specifically like Kirk Cousins and how they highlight him and show him talking about his mental health and to a counselor. And I think that's
fantasy. Was it a fantasy counselor?
no, like a therapist. I think it's good for them to highlight that. And I think it's good for, other football players to see that and other young football players to see that, because I think mental health is really important and it's something that's not talked about a lot for men. So I think that's great.
It's good that they're addressing that. And one thing I did like, though, is the Kirk Cousins' wife. She seems like a down-to-earth woman, not as narcissistic as Mahomes' wife. She just seems like way more down-to-earth. His whole family, not as like, look at me, right? Like, I don't like that. I like more of the down-to-earth. And, yeah, it seems like he's got a good thing going with his family, for sure.
Yeah, and I like his room where he saves all his quarterback or his footballs as well. But, yeah, she seems very down-to-earth. I really like his portion of the show.
Definitely. All right. So today we're talking washed up players, potentially washed up is the end of the line. But before we do, guys, make sure you guys draft the optimal roster. How you do that is get the 16-round drafts, which I've linked it below. Use code SMASH to save sleepers, breakouts, optimal players to draft in each round. Everything you need to crush your leagues, guys. Secure the solution, secure the championship. And, of course, join the Patreon group. Gwen will be there as well, offering analysis and direct access. And of course, myself, there'll be lives, exclusive vlogs, lots of content there for you. Waiver wire starts at 6. Secure the solution, 16 rounds. And of course, join the Patreon group, patreon.com/FF Counselor. And I recommend joining the general level because that's where you get the hangout. We'll be hanging out for a bit, talking about things like the quarterback show, NFL, breaking news, and all that fun stuff as well. So ultra interactive in the Patreon group. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, right, Gwen?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. And I just was nervous at the beginning of the show because the last show, how he brought out Connor. So I was just like, oh gosh, is he going to come back again? I don't know. But
I don't know. I don't think we should be announcing Connor coming on. I think we should just bring him on so he just surprises you. I know Jim was freaked right out when we brought him up a couple episodes ago. Genuinely offended by the sheep, which was pretty wild. And last episode, if you guys saw it, Connor was actually wearing a beautiful tie. It was like a silk blue and silver tie, and he was wearing it for the show, and Gwen just didn't appreciate it. So what he ended up doing is he ended up trying on a new tie. This was like a red silk one to match my Falcons hat, and he was excited for the show. But what ended up happening is that he cut off circulation and passed out, so he's seeking medical attention. So Connor may not be here for the show. I know a lot of you guys are sad, and I'm still in tears about it, but he'll be fine. He's recuperating well. And I know, Gwen, you're excited to see him in the near future.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
All right, so let's go on with players that are potentially washed up. Are we done with these players? We're having too much fun on the show. We got to get serious a little bit. People say, Joe, you're having too much fun, and that can't happen on your show because you're always, guys, if you want to get serious, get 16 rounds. I mean, we got to have some fun here. And I always got that on my Instagram as well. They'd be like, Joe, why are you posting like modeling photos of Christian McCaffrey? I'm like, dude, you
have a crush on him.
I'm making fun of him. And I just like having fun on social media and stuff like that. And again, we do give analysis, but if you want to get roll up your sleeves, obviously the podcast helps, but get the 16-round draft solution. It's all there, and we're doing it here as well. All right, so the first player here, let's just dive into it, is Zeke Elliott. honestly, like at the time of this recording, he's a free agent. What do you think of Zeke Elliott? Because the guy lost his job to Pollard. He's been declining over the past couple of years. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, he's how old? 27.
55
I
in
think
running back years. 55.
yeah. He turns actually I think his birthday's the day before mine, so this Saturday. So I think he turns 28. But he's gotten slow, and yeah, like you said, he doesn't have a home. And he was replaced by Pollard, who I think is going to
Yep.
have a great year. I think Zeke was about as ineffective as you could possibly be last year. He played almost every game, and he had a career low in both rushing and receiving yards. And I don't think he's been fantasy relevant since 2019. So if you drafted him in the last 3 years, you probably didn't win anything. And so I'm not touching him in any league, no matter what round he falls to. Period. Plus, I hate the Cowboys, so yeah, I don't like Zeke in general. I never did like him. So
As you can tell, I have no team bias. Doesn't matter if he's on the Cowboys or whatever. The fact of the matter is he is just declined. He's done. He's washed. He's over the hill. I don't know how else to say it other than like, sunset. Like he's riding off, not even riding anymore. I mean, he's like,
crashed.
He's crashed off into the sunset. And that's it, man. I'm just not drafting him. And a lot of people are stashing him in their leagues, hoping he lands somewhere and becomes fantasy relevant. And he may get some carries here and there, some goal line work, and may have a couple weeks where he puts up 15, 20 points a game or something like that, but nothing at all to get excited about at all. So yeah, no Zeke for me. And yeah, he's a goner for me. And you know what? I'm washing my hands of him.
I would never touch him.
What do you think of that?
No need to wash my hands because I'd never touch him in a league. So.
All right, perfect. He was good like in 2017 or something like that, 2018, but those days are gone. All right, next one. We need some sentimental music for this as we're washing away and saying farewell to some of these fantasy legends. All right, the next one here, he's an oldie, but potentially still a goodie. The guy is DeAndre Hopkins, who's found a new home with the Tennessee Titans, who has a decent quarterback that may make him somewhat fantasy relevant. Nothing exciting because we saw what A.J. Brown did. Not much. It ends up with Hurts and he takes off. So, it's not, I've tempered my expectations, but he is now on the Titans. What do you think of DeAndre Hopkins? Is he going to come back or is he riding off into the sunset? Is it game over?
Yeah. So, and he's 31. When he was on the field last year, he was effective, but he missed the first 6 games due to a PED suspension and sat the last 2 games since the Cardinals weren't going anywhere.
Because he needs the performance enhancing because he's washed. He's done.
And in the last 9 games he did play, he was his normal elite self. He averaged 80 yards a game and he was a target hog. The Titans, however, are not the optimal landing spot, in my opinion. I think Nashville has turned into the elite receiver retirement home. Julio Jones was the most recent example. But going back, Randy Moss, Andre Johnson, both ending their careers there.
Yeah.
Hopkins is, however, joining the team while still seemingly in his prime. I think Burks could be primed for a breakout year now that the attention of the defense will be focused on Hopkins and Henry. But if Tannehill can get that offense going, or if Tannehill can't get the offense going, he's going to be in a situation where he's getting benched. So I think this is probably a wait and see situation for me, or taking him if he drops into the 6th round. And I already have 2 receivers that I trust. So I don't know.
Yeah, I've got 0 Hopkins stock, and nor do I care to draft a 30-plus-year-old wide receiver. I'm going for the young talent. If I'm looking in those rounds, I still think Judy's got a lot of life left in him in regards to, potentially breaking out, maybe a bounce back year with Wilson, potentially. I'm not excited. I've got 0 stock in Hopkins, so he's a big pass for me. He's a big no, and I'm definitely, again, washing my hands of him. All right, that's not washing my hands. That's the toilet. He's washed, done. I'm calling it to the end of the day for him. That's a little harsh, isn't it, for a guy who just could still have a couple of good years left, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not nice. Connor's rubbing off on me. He's if you guys don't know who Connor is, first time tuning in, he is the leader. Believe it or not, sheep don't have leaders, but he is the leader of the Concheapsis, and he's not here on the show. He was significantly rejected last show by Gwen. They had a falling out. You got to follow the storyline because, again, these guys are friends. and they were buddies and they were agreeing on everything. And all of a sudden they had a big disagreement. There was a big last show. Go back and watch last show. And Connor's, kind of fallen into, a sad state right now. So we'll have to bring him back. You don't. All right, next one. Gwen has no comment on this. See, this is exactly, I could tell there's tension there. All right, next one here is Russell Wilson. Hustle Russell, who had a down year last year. People are scared of him. He's going off for great value in drafts. What do you think of Russell Wilson in a must-win, must-do something type of year?
So I talked about him before, I think on a previous show. He's 34 years old and he's terrible. I think he's washed up. I think Sean Payton must have a thing for old, short quarterbacks at the tail end of their career. I think he hung on for Drew Brees well past his prime. I expect him to tailor the same dink and dunk offense that he had in New Orleans, which isn't super fantasy friendly for the quarterback. And I just don't like the Broncos offense heading into this year after what I saw last year. And they didn't really make any personnel changes. So yeah, you can make that little toilet flush sound now.
Hold on, I see you're starting to wash your hands. You're washing them with soap and water, rinsing it, and there goes Russell Wilson down the drain.
Goodbye.
I still think there's life left. I think he has a better year than last year. He's got that opportunity to be a top 10 quarterback again. He really can. He's got some great options there with Judy and Sutton. Javonte Williams got to come back healthy. Obviously, Javonte got hurt last year. If he comes back healthy, P. Ryan is there. They got some other options. Peyton's coming in there. And again, there's all this talk of Peyton wouldn't have came back if Wilson was not there, and the Broncos believe in him. There's so much things working towards him succeeding, including a possible chip on his shoulder. I think he's got one more good year left because, again, he's got such a good legacy. He's done so well in his career. Do you really want to end it being a crappy quarterback and people like Gwen and myself washing our hands of you? I don't think so. I think he wants to go off on a high note. I think he wants a magical twinkle exit instead of a flushing exit, So I think there's still life left in him. I would get him as a backup quarterback, but that's as far as I would go with some upside, especially in deeper leagues. All right, next one. We got Mr. Troublemaker possibly facing a looming suspension. Alvin Kamara. What do you think of this guy? I'll let you talk first. I'm not going to get animated here. You go first.
So, and I think he turns 28 next week. Fun fact, he's actually never rushed more than 1,000 yards in a season.
What? I never noticed that. Yes. I should know this.
Yes. So that's a fun fact for you.
I'm looking this up.
Go ahead. Look it up. You can Google the your friend Connor. He's pretty good at that, right?
Oh my God. 2, 4, 6. He's in his 7th season and he's never right. I should know this because I know stats very well. I overlooked this stat. I can't believe this.
Yeah. So in his 4 years with the check down god, Drew Brees, he averaged over 100 targets for over 700 yards receiving. That's where Kamara adds value in the passing game and in the open field. I think with Williams being there and eating up the carries and Derek Carr only targeting his 2 running backs in Las Vegas 22% of the time when throwing, he likes to push the ball down the field and he still has the arm to do it. I just don't see it for Kamara this year, especially with the potential suspension. So
yeah, Olave is the only guy I'm drafting on this team, period. And I think Kamara is just past the point where he's ever going to be really good. He's always done well. And I knew he's a big reception guy. This is something I've monitored. I just never owned Kamara, but I've never actually looked at that stat. I've noticed that stat with many other guys, including Austin Eckler, who can't rush for 1,000 yards to save his life. And these guys are PPR backs typically, but he'll never go back to the 29. When was his really big year? 2020 season, he had a good season. He had a really good one in 2018. I don't ever see him getting back to that shape ever again. Not sold on him, never drafting him. He's in a committee this year. He's going to lose all the goal line work. Yeah, big no for me. He's done. He'll never bounce back.
Yeah, I had him when he was in his good year on my fantasy team, but not anymore.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's looming suspension too. I mean, he admitted, he basically pleaded guilty in this thing. He basically admitted to it. Got I think he's only going to pay $100,000 fine. He got away with a lot, and for anyone else would have been in trouble. But it is what it is. Looming suspension bothers me. Older, washed up, done. I never really had him on my teams, as you can tell. But I'm washing my hands of Kamara fully. Never doing it. Tap off. All right,
Yeah.
next one here. Are you starting to miss? I see that you're missing Connor a little bit.
No, I don't think so. Hopefully he's in a coma and doesn't come back for many more episodes.
There is something about him you should know. He does actually watch this show. So the fact that you are talking smack about him, he's coming back with redemption. He's coming back strong. So I would just be very cautious about what you say about him. You might open up the lion in that sheep somehow.
Well, I look forward to seeing his attempt at coming at me.
All right, next one here. Is it over? Are we done? Is he washed up? Devonte Adams. We talked about him in the last show. So if you watched the last show, it might not be that new, but I wanted to get some overlap here because to me, I think he's done. I think, he's got downgrade at quarterback. What do you think of Devonte Adams again?
Yeah, he's 30. He put up 1,500 yards the last 2 years with double-digit touchdowns with different guys throwing him the ball. I think he's probably still the best wide receiver in the league, but JJ has a better situation. I think Jimmy has proven he can get his guys the ball in the past, supporting Debo's monster year last year as a starter. I think there's still plenty of gas in the tank for Devonte Adams. I don't think he's washed yet.
Yeah, I'm not going to be drafting him. Like I said before, 180 targets last year, not going to happen again. It's a big no and a pass for me. I'm looking at running backs in the early rounds anyway. Again, it sounds repetitive when it comes to Devonte Adams for me the past couple of years. It's one of those like, well, Joe, well, you told us to avoid him 2 years ago. He did well. You avoided him avoid him last year. He did well. I'm going to get it right eventually. So that's how I'm looking at it with Devonte Adams. You know what I mean? I'm going to be fading him. All right, next one here. All right, Amari Cooper. New quarterback situation here for a safe wide receiver. What are you thinking on him?
He just turned 29 and he had an okay year going over 1,000 yards, but in the final 6 games with Watson, was only targeted in the double digits one time and only went for 100 yards on one occasion. The Browns really love to run the football. I don't know how much they will tailor the offense to Watson this season, so I'm not touching him this year.
He's gross when it comes to fantasy. I'm looking at him like we were talking about this with Jim. Week 4, 1.9 points PPR. Imagine you have Amari Cooper. He puts up 1.9 points. 6.2 points in week 10 last year. 8 points in week 13, 6.2 in week 14, 7.1 in week 18, just a bunch of duds. 4.7 points week 1, just extremely inconsistent. His top game last year was 25 points in week 17. But when you go from like a 1-point game to like a 25-point game and you only have that one 25-point game, I know you got Deshaun Watson, but the guy is like literally coming off from massages. And if that guy's throwing the ball to you, Deshaun Watson, that's a Deshaun Watson voice if you're new to the show. Again, Watson, is he going to be fresh out of massages, too relaxed maybe? Inconsistent for me. And he's older. I'm just done. He will not be on my team. He will have some safe games. He might have a couple boom games. But for me, he'll never hit pinnacle numbers. He'll never be great. He'll never be a top 5 guy. I'm always reaching top on the depth chart for guys that have high ceilings. He'll never do it for me, Gwen. So I'm out on Amari Cooper here.
Okay, so we agree on one of them.
We agree. We are both washing the toilet on him, washing our hands, whatever you want to call it. Washed up. Done. All right, next one here. Keenan Allen. What do you think of Keenan Allen? Justin Herbert, contract year.
So he turned 31 in the offseason. He missed most of the first half of last year due to injury, but in the final 8 games, he averaged over 10 targets a game for 85 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think he can still play, and in the pass-happy Chargers offense, he's still the top guy, and he's one of the best route runners in the league. I said it before, I'll say it again. I like Keenan Allen.
You're going to think I'm a terrible person. And I always wish on the downfall of players that are not on my fantasy team because I'm all in on Quentin Johnston. So I'm not wishing injury. I'm not wishing injury, right? But I am actually hoping that they don't get him the ball. I really hope that they actually target Quentin Johnston a lot more this year. Keenan Allen's old. Keenan Allen gets hurt. Keenan Allen is washed up. I am washing my hands. Finally, Not that I ever drafted him anyway. But you should wash your hands as well and just draft Quentin Johnson round 7 to 9, who was drafted in the first round by the Chargers. They're going to use him. They like him. He's talented. Keenan Allen can't stay healthy. Neither can Mike Williams. I am fading him. I know you like him. You're all in on Keenan Allen. But third round, really? Are you going to do it?
Yeah, he's one of the best in the league, in my opinion. So I guess you go watch tape on him.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to do a mock draft because me and Jim did one, but everyone keeps asking, like, can we do a mock draft with all of us? Me, you, Jim, maybe Tim and Connor. All 5 of us do a mock draft together. I think that'd be thoroughly entertaining. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm sure it would.
Every time I say
Connor,
why do you cringe with Connor? It doesn't make any sense to me. He's such a handsome guy. He wears a tie. He's very respectful and very herd follower. He follows people. He's always in line.
He's a puppet.
He's not a puppet. He's a real piece of life.
Real boy. Yeah, no, he's so strange.
All right, we're moving on here to the next one. And our final person here, Derrick Henry, who has been speaking and been an ambassador for the running back position, came out and tweeted, said something about running backs not getting paid enough and it's not fair. I can't quote him exact. I don't know what the exact quote was. I don't know if you have the quote, but either way, the guy wants his fellow running backs to get paid. He got paid. Christian McCaffrey got paid. A lot of guys got paid, except for some of the current guys that are just not getting paid. They're getting paid $10 million franchise tags, which is nothing to, complain about, but they're not getting these mega contracts. So Derrick Henry, been phenomenal. A lot of tread worn off the tires. Ultra-elite talented. They drafted Tajay Spears. What do you think of Derrick Henry? Is he still going to remain the king for one more year? Does he have one more year? Is there still some more juice left in the orange or whatever that word is? Or what is that? Can you bleed out of a rock? What's that saying? Either way, is there more juice left in
the tank?
That's the tank.
So, and I just pulled up his tweet actually. So he said, at this point, just take the running back position out the game then. The ones who want to be great and work as hard as they can to give their all to an organization just seems like it doesn't, or he said, just seems like it don't even matter.
Yeah.
I'm with every running back that's fighting to get what they deserve. So he is obviously on the running back side,
of course,
supporting them.
And I think not biased at all towards
not biased at all. I mean, he's a great running back. But yeah, so he's 29. He ran for over 1,500 yards for the third time in the last 4 years. Rebounding after 2021 when he missed games due to his injury. The Titans are committed to the run, and I think them bringing in Hopkins is going to be a benefit to Henry because they can't stack the box as much with Hopkins on the outside being a constant threat. So I think he's not washed yet. I don't think.
I never say this too often, but I don't know. I really don't know because I really feel it's a boom or bust type season. Now, if I look at it the way that it sits now, super safe. Yes, end of first round, early second, get him as your RB2 as part of a robust RB strategy. Yes, it seems so clear as day. But part of me is feeling like maybe, just maybe, that was his last hurrah last year. So this is a tough one. And for the reason that I'm uncertain, I tend to fade him in a lot of leagues. I don't have any Derrick Henry stock, whereas last year I was all in. The same way I'm all in on like a buy Jan, right? So this is really a tough one. I personally don't have stock. I'm not saying don't draft them, but I'm thinking that this could be the last year. This is a guy that puts up 300 plus attempts year after year after year. And people thought he was washed like 3 years ago when they were telling you to draft Damian Williams ahead of him. I was telling you, no, Henry's still the real deal. And then he outperformed, washed up running backs like Damian Williams. It sucked. So, yeah, people were crazy. They had Damian Williams. I don't know if you know this, but they had Damian Williams ranked ahead of Derrick Henry. I'm like, you guys are nuts. And Derrick Henry had that big breakout year a couple years ago. So I've been a Henry believer for years, but I think maybe, just maybe, I might wash my hands from him this year. It's a tough hand washing. I'm still not 100% sure. We'll have to get Connor on this one. What he thinks. I'll be curious.
We'll see. And sorry, I've been looking. There's I live in Florida, and suddenly there's like these little flies that have come into my apartment and are flying around. So I'm not sure where they came from, but a little distracted. But
they're not on camera, and as long as they don't bite, you'll be okay. All right. that wraps it up. Make sure you guys grab the 16-round draft solution, everybody. Secure the solution, secure the championship. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited for the season. I'm excited for everything. And make sure you guys are subscribed, thumbs up, and let us know, do you want to see more Connor? I keep talking about him like he's a real person. And there's a big battle going on with him and Gwen. We got to keep the storyline going. So thanks, Gwen, for coming on. Anything else you want to say to the listeners here?
No, just join the Patreon group and drop your comments below. I want to hear everyone's feedback on what they think of these players too. So drop some comments and let us know what you think.
Join the front lines, guys. Thank you. We are out. Subscribe, thumbs up, and more amazing content coming your way. We'll talk soon. We are out.